Are we on? Are we on? Are we on? Are we on?
I think we're live. As he eats a chip. Awesome. And that's what people are here for.
Yep.
Gotta say, I forgot to grab my beer. Damn it. Gotta say, YouTube's been really weird this week. It's been like everything has just been fluctuating. Lost a bunch of subscribers, lost a bunch of views. It's just really weird. YouTube is really doing
it's all because of Riverside. All Riverside's fault.
We'll be talking about that in a few. I know did you see the apology video, the half-assed apology? I got hammered, dude. Hammered. People were all over me. Oh, you freaking sellout. Oh, you should tell us this is a paid video. And I was like, oh, man, it says
in the bottom of the thing.
I know.
Like,
you know what? But it's true. I should have just the first part of the video should just be me going, this video is brought to you by blah, or this video is sponsored by. It would have been so much easier. Oh, my God. So the top title for this video is the RODECASTER Pro has what? And I wanted to do a straw poll. Actually, you know what? Maybe I should do a poll on YouTube there. The RODECASTER Pro has released their own ASIO drivers.
good.
Meaning no more
the
ASIO for all. I call them ASIO drivers. ASIO. The phone app is interesting. You know what, Bangs? The phone app for Riverside, it's not a perfect rollout, but when you look at some of the audio you get off of a laptop, when you have an interview with somebody that's on a laptop that doesn't have a microphone, they don't have a camera set up, it's garbage. But you hold a phone up or you prop your phone up for an interview, the audio's a billion times better in the video.
So here's actually a thing about that that I discovered this week, actually, on that exact point. So with laptops, most laptops now have two things built in into the driver that you can disable. So good news at the end of the rainbow. But by default, they're turned on, and it makes your audio a million times worse. One is automatic echo cancellation, which automatically does all kinds of crap. So to do this, if you're having issues with your laptop mic sounding, again, it's never going to sound amazing, but you can make it a million times better by going into your control panel and bringing up that little sound dialog and opening up the driver for your mic, for the built-in laptop mic, and turning off, I don't have a laptop here, so I can't, but there's two things. There's automatic echo cancellation. I think the second one is far field pickup or something, which institutes this really garbage compression rate, algorithm.
It's so you
just
can
turn
stand
off all
10
the check
feet
boxes.
away.
Exactly. So you don't have to be like right up on it.
Yeah. All right. I just put up a poll. Should I buy a new RODECASTER Pro with the new the rollout of their latest update? Let's get into that first because it is the title of this video, and I don't want to keep people waiting if they came here for the meat and potatoes. I routinely use FaceTime audio for tech non-literates. Oh, God. FaceTime audio. I prefer, actually, Dylan and I are both big fans of Clean Feed. It's something that you get amazing audio from. If you need video, it's a little bit of a pain, but for the audio from Clean Feed, we actually run a radio station off of it. And no concerns. All people have to do is click a link in a Chrome browser, and they're good to go. So, moving to the RODECASTER Pro, the latest release, and this is a big one. They're releasing their own ASIO drivers. That's what you call them, ASIO drivers. I say ASIO drivers.
Tomato, it doesn't matter.
No, it doesn't. And this is the one thing, if you ever watched my video on the RODECASTER Pro, the one thing I crapped all over was the drivers. The drivers were garbage. And it's
well, then not only were they garbage, they were basically non-existent.
It's just not an intuitive setup, and that's the biggest problem. So this latest one, they do a bunch of things. They added a bunch of little features for the pads and for things you can do. But that driver all of a sudden made me realize I may actually have to buy a RODECASTER For now, I
Just
am
to
getting,
give it a fair shake all over again.
well, it's not just that. I also need an interface for my Mac. I'm going to be buying a Mac, and I'm thinking I might move my AudioFuse Studio over to the Mac and then have the RODECaster on my Windows PC. Because I would be doing a lot more of my recording through the Mac and using Logic Pro. I know. But ASIO is not with Audacity for Windows. ASIO is not compatible with Audacity for Windows. Are you kidding me? So you can't do multi-track in Audacity?
I don't know.
I
I use Audacity for one thing. I use Audacity for the foldback channel. That's the only thing I use Audacity for.
I've never actually used... Well, I've used Audacity. I know how to. I find it's not user-friendly. I find it's really... like just splitting the audio, for crying out loud. Making a split in the audio.
But it's also free. So I feel like we don't have any justification to ask for literally anything.
I have... Oh, it's a legal issue. Oh, that sucks. So you can Bangs, answer this. Can you multi-track with Audacity? I thought for the longest time that you could. Like I said, I'm
pretty sure you can. I've never tried, but I've seen people do it. Like, I'm pretty sure you can.
GPL versus Steinberg ASIO license. Huh. I'm going to have to look into that.
Steinberg invented ASIO, so I'm going to
assume. In Mac, yes. Yeah, that's the beauty of Mac. You don't have drivers. You don't have...
Yeah, you got a little thing called Core Audio, which, as much as I shit on Apple for lots of hardware things, yeah, they got the Core Audio thing.
Yeah, they've got a lot going on with their stuff.
And aggregate devices, hello, where you can add interfaces together inside the OS. Like, that's amazing.
Yeah, no, there's a lot. That's why I want to get the Mac. So... should I buy the RODECaster Pro? I've got a poll up on the YouTube channel here, so you can just go into the community tab and vote on it. If you vote yes, I will buy a RODECaster Pro. It costs almost $1,000 Canadian dollars.
I'm just gonna vote yes because I want to watch you spend money.
You just want to see me spend money. Thanks, man. So if you have a RODECaster Pro, you can't use it on. I guess that's why a lot of people move into Reaper. Which makes sense. I know you make your face with it, but it's a $60. It's $60. That's
it's big. It's Reaper's big amongst the metal guys. Metal guys love Reaper.
It's also you've got Mike Delgaudio uses Reaper for voiceover, and he actually has a whole Booth Junkie has a whole series on how to use Reaper for voiceover. And for $60, you get a DAW that works quite well. I don't find it's as intuitive as the other DAWs.
Honestly,
but it's a hell of a lot better.
If I'm in that price range, I don't know what Ableton's going for these days, but if I'm going that price range, I'd probably go in Ableton. I think Ableton's it was $80, but that was years ago, so I don't know. Ableton. I'm gonna look this up. Ableton Live.
On 3 computers and cross-platform for that license. Huh? I don't know what the last comment means. Anyways, RODECaster Pro. Now, RODECaster Pro, they have their own set of drivers, proprietary, which I've been asking for a while. Rode just contacted me. And Rode is like, yeah, we got some stuff to send you. So they're going to be sending me some stuff soon. And I wonder if it's because of the new ASIO drivers. What's with that look on your face? What?
I'm like
a washer break?
Ableton's like $580. Like
wow.
when did that change? Now the intro is $129, but still it's way more than the $80. Maybe it's because I got like an education discount or something.
Oh, how much is Cubase? Does anybody use Cubase anymore?
I have. I don't anymore, but I put Cubase on. Well, I put Nuendo, which is like I don't know if they still make Nuendo, but back when they made Nuendo, if they don't now. I put it on par with Pro Tools. It's very different, but it's very capable.
Yeah, I've used it. I got really confused.
It's just so different.
You were able to take a Cubase course at one time, if I recall. Like they had that through Long and McQuaid here in Canada.
The nice thing about Logic and Pro Tools is Logic and Pro Tools are very similar.
Logic is also What? Yes, Lo. Of course. Where's Mom? Sorry. Yes, give her. I've got a kid issue. There's kids outside in the backyard, and they need to come in because it's raining. Anyways, apparently $500 is the sale price for that, eh? For whatchamacallit, what you're looking up there.
Live?
Yeah. Ableton Live. Yeah, there we go.
Yeah.
$500 for Ableton, I don't think I'll do. It's, you know what, it is well known for its beat matching, for
Well, and it's as they say, it's good live. Like if you're somebody that's a musician and you need to, but for the sake of this audience, don't get it.
All right. So I'm really curious to see if I'm going to be buying a RODECaster. I would like to, because I do know that the podcast or the PodTrack P8 that I'm getting from Zoom, which by the way, I also have a complaint about that. That's coming up in a second.
You should review, just for shits, so side tangent. So you should that. And then the Zoom U22 interface. You ever heard of it?
Yes, I have. That's
one of our announcers just started using one working from home, and he recorded a commercial video through a 58 into that. And it sounded really good.
Yeah.
Like it sounded awesome.
Yeah, Zoom's really cornering the market on a lot of this mobile audio interface. They've got so many interfaces for everything. Like Zoom has an interface for every use case. It's incredible. iPhone compatible, which Zoom is doing a lot of that stuff. Rode as well. Everything's
which
iPhone
is good.
compatible.
I mean, iPhone and Android, mobile phones are now sort of becoming our go-to core
nothing
processor
is for
this.
Android though. It's all for iPhone.
Which is kind of ironic because Android's the cheap one for them as developers. Android's open source.
Yeah, but I think that's a problem. It's open source, and there's a lot of the Play Store isn't quite as locked down as the iOS store. So, anyways, I'll take a look at that. The U22 that'll be on its way. I'm gonna see exactly how. I want to start testing the preamps. There's a method, Julian Krause has a method for testing preamps. I want to start doing that, so I'm going to actually build a rig to be able to test preamps. And that might be the first one I do that on. That'd be actually kind of cool. Java is slow auto. Bangs is on his phone, so... I don't know if Bang is a guy or a girl. So they are on their phone. No idea.
They is on their phone.
They is on their phone. So when I get the Mac, would you go with the RODECaster into the Mac, or would you go the RODECaster into the PC? I plan on recording through Logic because Logic is a fantastic program, and you get it super cheap in comparison to everything else. Super cheap. So which one would you go into the Mac?
Well, again, I haven't seen anything to show that. Like generally, the things that I tend to plug into Macs are things that are known to be Mac things, like Universal Audio stuff, for example. I don't generally. I mean, the thing is Mac works really well with the stuff that it works really well with. The stuff that it doesn't work well with are usually colossal failures.
I got
as in plug it in and cause a system crash.
The one
kind of thing
I know is the RODECaster works really well with Mac. I don't know about AudioFuse Studio. I have no idea.
Then give the again Arturia, they're a music company.
Yeah,
it probably works pretty well with
I'm
Macs.
guessing there won't be a problem with that, but
well,
cool.
Either way, I mean, try plugging in both and see if one of them happens to
help. I'm being misgendered. Yeah, man, I called you they. This is as much as I can offer here at the point.
Let's see, yeah.
You know what? It doesn't matter what gender you are, Bangs. You're welcome here. Sure. Releasing a guide on how to clean your stuff, on how to clean your gear, the Shure gear, no one else's gear, just Shure gear. Did you take a look there, Dylan?
Yep.
Anything surprise you out of that? Was it just ridiculous?
No, I didn't think it was. Honestly, here's my thing, right? I mean, that's intermediate chemistry. I'm not that's stuff. What they were talking about is intermediate chemistry, just stuff that, if you've done any kind of shop work and work with solvents in general, you generally know what substances not to use. Things like when they're don't put dish soap on foam. No, really? But there's people that don't know that. So I like it in the sense that Shure has provided another
for the
avenue for
dumb
people to learn.
For dumb people.
Well,
I mean, like,
for the inexperienced people.
a couple things. First of all, Hint to Shrimp says, are you guys into open back headphones? Yes. I asked because I bought a pair of Philips SPH 9500, and I'd love to know if
Not for tracking. Don't use them for tracking.
If you're talking into a mic with open backs, it's bad. You should be using closed back.
Open back headphones are for mixing. That is what they're for.
They're for listening or mixing.
Yeah, closed back, everything else. Mixing, open back.
And secondly, what are you doing to your microphones that they need to be cleaned? Like, okay, at what point do you my 58's kind of dirty?
Well, here's the thing. It's because it's COVID, right? And there's people that need to clean it consistently.
Don't borrow microphones.
But there's people renting mics, right? And also, these rental places should probably know how to clean their equipment anyway.
Licking your microphone is a bad idea. So this little thing, the clown nose.
That's a great way to get 6 different problems.
Get a clown nose. Take the clown nose off when someone else uses the mic and throw it away. Go buy a bag of these clown noses from Amazon, and you're fine. It's a liability issue. I get it's a liability issue for sure, but how much liability is there for the consumer? I can see for rental places. Rental places, yes, they should be UV lighting the microphone.
Shure is not liable. There's zero legal reason why Shure would be liable for cleaning a microphone.
Yeah, if you're public facing, you have to have procedures. But then it's also, once again, it's like the people that are lending their microphones out during COVID, give your head a shake.
I'll put it this way. I don't think we're going to see Neumann putting out cleaning practices for their microphones. And you know what? I think Neumann's going to be just fine.
I like getting a tub of soapy water and just throwing that Neumann in. And then you just rustle it around in the water a lot. Okay? You take the Neumann, put it in the water, rustle it around a lot. And then you bang it off a brick wall to dry it. That's how you clean your Neumann microphone. Dylan just broke his desk.
What the fuck just happened?
I know, the lights went out or something. Or you turned some lights on. That was great. Rode microphones are a little different. You actually need to use acid on Rode microphones. That's the important part about that.
I think I literally hit the desk so hard that the power bar at the back fell off. I think that's literally what just happened.
Yeah, sound speeds, and there's a difference between sound speeds and Judd both doing a cleaning guide. And you know what? I can see something like that. For it to be like a kind of a YouTuber thing to just send out this is how you clean your gear. Maybe don't, use compressed air on your interface, stuff like that. For Shure to do it, seemed weird to come from Shure. It just seemed a little weird from a corporate standpoint like that.
Plus, Shure is quite a small company. They usually don't dive into stuff like that. So I was a little surprised. I think the funniest thing of everything, if I'm being honest, was not in the video. The video is fine. The video is whatever. But on their actual page that the video's on, the glyphs that they chose to represent each of the things that you're not supposed to do. Like, play a game where hide the text under them and then try to guess what each of the things equals. And they're just highly ambiguous. It's awesome.
What happened to your lighting? Your lighting went from really cool to bland. Now you're just some dude in the living room.
I wanted to make myself brighter because I lost 2 of my main lights.
Yeah, now you're dark and the background's light. So
all right, well, let me flip back to you.
There you go. There you go. Set the mood, man.
See, I'll just use the monitor as the light. Here, I'll open a Facebook. There we go. Now I got lots of light.
Riverside.fm. Let's blow past the Shure stuff, mic cleaning. I mean, it's a good idea. I'm just, anyways. You saw the Riverside.
You're just
FM.
busting their balls. Yes, I did.
Were you deeply offended?
No. We're content creators. It's called monetizing. It's just
you know
life.
what I mean. This was to be perfectly honest. For corporate users that have on-air talent, that is smart. Thanks, Bangs. That makes Shure sound a lot better. Anyways,
for corporate users that have on-air talent,
yeah, I can see like if they have like a podcast studio or something. We'd need the cleaning guide,
or a radio station.
I'm thinking more like, anyways. So I did this video for Riverside FM, Riverside.fm, And yes, they paid me. This was my first ever purchase video. It was actually very exciting. And got to play with the product, enjoyed the product, thought the product was cool. And vitriol is probably the best way I would put some of the remarks on that. One guy told me he's never watching any more videos anymore. I'm like, wow, people go hard and fast, eh? Like as soon as they think like you're kind of screwing them over, it was just like done. Don't like you
even
anymore.
then, it's like, so I wish there was a way that very quickly in like, I don't know. Wow, that's kind of kneecapping yourself too. I was gonna say if there's something that you could put at the beginning of your title, but
well, no, I'm just going to intro.
Nobody's gonna.
My intro is going to be this video is brought to you by, or this is
sponsored
by.
in the intro, and then look, if you keep watching and then you're mad, well, it's your own damn fault.
Yeah,
you should have stopped watching.
And to be perfectly honest, I think the point is like I've watched sponsored videos from other creators and not gotten offended. Because I'm mildly interested
I know what
in the
it
product.
is. Well,
yeah.
And it's like, yeah, it's obviously, and I think most creators that have, integrity when they do a lot of that stuff, like they will say, hey, so some of this information is a little biased, obviously, because I'm getting paid.
Everything's going to be biased on a sponsored video.
Exactly.
You're not going to go through and rip it apart. I think if your line is tech tips or something, sure, you can probably, kind of throw a little bit of shade at the manufacturer, but you're also being paid to showcase it, not to review it. And that's the differential between the two. It's not a review. It's more of a, like, this is what they're releasing. This is cool. If you need to use this.
Yeah, this is literally like an influencer advertisement.
Exactly.
Basically.
And if you want, the worst part about this is you can actually go make your own mind up by going and using it for free. You get an hour of audio out of Riverside. So it's not like in order to get in and try it out yourself, you have to pay $20. You go try it for free. And yeah, there is, Riverside has a questionable rep of recent, as Bangs points out. And that's something to be considered, but that's not what I was reviewing. I wasn't reviewing the company. I was reviewing the product that they had released. When they came to me, it took me about a week before I was like, yeah, okay, I'll look at this. But they came to me and they said, hey, this is what we have. And the first thing I thought was, well, that's kind of a cool concept because I've never heard of that before. Somebody in my comments pointed out they weren't the first to release one on cell phone. But that's also okay. I'm still not reviewing it.
Yeah. No, I'm very against reviews. In my opinion, should be an honest recount of a product and its performance. And if somebody wants to send you a thing for free and be like, "Hey, review it, do your own thing," it's like, cool, I'm gonna do that. But if somebody's like, "Hey, review it, here's a script," it's like, no.
And that's the one thing that I have had requests from one company in particular, Godox. Now, Godox is known for lighting. They're a company out of China. They do lighting. They do cheap mics. They do a lot of Amazon throwaway stuff. And
they're
they've
like
contacted. Newer. Yeah, they're basically newer, but they do actually have some nicer lights. Godox's lights are actually not bad. And they said, hey, we'll send you this if you read this. And no, one, I don't want Godox crap. Two, I mean, what's the point of doing that? Like, what's the point of, like, reviewing something positively just for the sake of a free $20 microphone?
Actually, I got a postcard from a place that I don't know how they got my address. That's a little concerning, but I ordered a product on Amazon, like a video monitor, like a camera HDMI video monitor, and they sent me a postcard and like handwritten on the back, it's like, "Do you like your new, if you do, please go on Amazon." And like the English was horrible as usual.
Nice.
And they're like, go on Amazon, give it a 5-star review, and we will set you good. We will set you good. I'm like, what does that mean? We will set you good.
See, I've gotten
like,
a lot of requests when I order something on Amazon, and I've ordered like 99% of the stuff I review on here has been ordered through Amazon. I've gotten messages from them. Please, if you do not send back to Amazon, call us. I'm like, Amazon gives me no guff. I send something back, and Amazon's like, okay. There's no way I'd be able to do that. And also with the
No.
review stuff, it's like, I would much rather have a reputation and make the money I do on YouTube than get a free trinket. And that's most
free
of what you're going to
whatchamajigget.
get. Like if somebody was like, hey, we'll send you a RODECaster Pro, do a great review on it, you can have it for free. I can go buy one. Like
I just buy one.
I'm
And,
set up
yeah.
enough I can go buy a RODECaster Pro, no problem. So it's one of those things. Hopefully over time we'll find kind of a nice average for people getting upset and understanding that I still need to get paid for this stuff, and I'm open for people to pay me, but I'm not open to be bought. The two separate, the two differences in that. Bang says, I remember Leo Laporte was doing an Audible host read, and he had the Boing Boing guy on and trashed the Audible DRM during the read. It caused issues. Yeah, that sounds like that would probably cause some issues.
Just a little bit.
But anyways, Never Call Me Again says, didn't have an issue with the Riverside video. Benefit to knowing how to read. Damn. I remember seeing the sponsored video tag at the beginning of your video. Have consistently enjoyed your channel. Thanks, man. Appreciate it. That is, you know what? I mean, when it all comes down to it, I only do one video a week most days. This week I did 4, including this one. 4 videos this week. Because I had to issue a damn apology for doing the first video. And then I had the short of me running around in a cape.
That was pretty great.
Yeah, you like that?
Great.
Yeah, it's even better in the full video. There's an extra one. You got to watch right to the end. There's an extra version of me going, you'll have to see it anyways. It's probably the funniest one of them all. Also, my daughters totally approved the message in that video. So if an 8-year-old finds it funny, I'm pretty sure it's going to be good. Dylan, what do you have for the class today? Do you have anything?
So I've got something that's been the largest pain in my ass for like the last several years that I've finally gotten to the bottom of.
What have you?
And that is the wonderful glory of the. This is not helpful. I don't have one here, but the TRRS jack.
Oh
God.
What's wrong with the TRS?
So nothing's wrong. So the protocol of having 4 contacts and a tip ring sleeve is it's not a problem. However, number one, I don't like the fact that Samsung and iPhone have reversed contacts. I don't like how with the iPhone it's tip ring, it goes left, right, ground, mic, and in Samsung it's left, right, mic, ground.
That's
like
so
the
you
ground
can't
is the
use them
sleeve
with
on
each other.
Interchangeably, yeah, which is just but so the weird thing is the Android standard is actually the non. It's the weird one out. The Apple
Android's
one is actually
the one that's
like
pissed off by iPhone though. Android lost that lawsuit way back in the beginning.
Yeah.
So they're the ones that have a bone
which
to
is
pick.
weird. But like if you pick up a Lenovo that has a laptop that has a TRRS jack.
Bangs just corrected you. iPhone is left, right, ground, mic. Fight, gentlemen. Okay, I still don't know if Bangs is a gentleman or a lady. I called them a they, and they got mad. So
This is not they're not going to tell you now, especially now that they know it keeps tripping you up. Well, my wiring tests say otherwise.
the Android standard is based on the old Nokia standard. Oh,
Yeah, well, Android needs to adjust.
hey,
But
Bangs Naughty Bits. Have you ever thought about going on Jeopardy? Some of this random knowledge would serve you, like a Jeopardy. Anyways, go on.
moving on to the more important point, is so there's something, and obviously Bangs knows about that, so he probably knows about this. They probably know about this too. The jack sensing algorithm it's not really an algorithm, it's a hardware feature that on laptops is Realtek, on iPhones is obviously probably also Realtek, but Apple's never going to tell you that. And it's this annoying thing where it does not like line level signals. You cannot plug a line level device into a mic port and trying to find, you have to pretty much dive into the schematics to realize, it does it via impedance sensing. So the iPhone, for example, the mic of an iPhone is 1.6K is the impedance of the iPhone microphone. So if you don't have at least, like we'll say, I don't know, 1.5K of resistance, it just says, nope, there's no mic plugged in, it's shorted.
Yeah.
And then doesn't let you do anything. But so I've made a custom Trs To Xlr cable with a 1.K resistor inside the XLR jack, specifically to plug that stupid thing into, because So the reason I had to do this was one of my coworkers was trying to plug a Symmetrix 528E directly into his Lenovo. And I said, well, theoretically, if you can get by the stupid Realtek Jackson, well, it's actually not real. Realtek does the software side. The hardware chip is probably made by somebody else. But I said, if you want to, you'll have to get past that. And I told him, I said, you can plug in, because it only does the jack sensing when you plug it in.
Yeah.
So so I have a little cheap $20 lav. Plug that into my splitter, plug the splitter in, detects a microphone, unplug the lav without unplugging the splitter, plug in the line level device, and you're golden. But I told him that, and he's like, that's chintzy. I'm like, I know it's chintzy, but like, unless you want to bust out the soldering iron with a box of resistors. There's
a little device I use called a Rocket on Amazon. I use on Mac devices.
Yep, there's lots of devices. I've got a portable 2-channel preamp actually that can accept line level signals that works on my iPhone. Obviously, they've terminated it with a high enough resistance.
Yeah, I said Rocket, didn't I? I said Rocket, Bangs.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Bangs just put it in caps. He's yelling at me. They're yelling at me.
There's lots of devices that do it. Even devices that'll accept, like again, the U22 is a good example. It's got mic and line level inputs. So the one problem with my little preamp that is on my camera tripod right now is it's only mic level, so I've got to have a line attenuator, which is just makes me just have an aneurysm.
Bang says this is wired for iOS as opposed to Rocket.
Some devices actually have a little switch that lets you switch the wiring for iOS or Android, which is kind of neat.
That is kind of cool.
I forget where I saw that, but yeah, there's some devices that have that.
So, anything else other than you're angry at certain tech? Is it
TRS? Trying to think. Had a wonderful chat with a coworker this week about normalization and the clusterfuck that is thy. It occurs to me that our North American radio stations are a little fucked. So for those that don't know, there's a broadcast standard years ago that was developed for loudness normalization, not peak normalization, for Neg 23 LKFS. That is the recommended standard from the ITU according to recommendation 1770. It is what pretty much allegedly every broadcast station in Europe uses. Neg 23. That's the standard. And what you get out of that is a very dynamic but consistent level, which, as we know with peak normalization, does not give you that. And everyone's like, well, RMS. It's like, no, still. RMS
US
is just basically
Neg 24, according to Bangs. I don't know about US.
Well, which is weird. I know our digital pre-roll and advanced audio stuff goes by Neg 24. I'm not sure why they just decided to arbitrarily go a decibel below everybody else, but
the US is.
It is true.
Way. Yeah.
Well, Canada too. I mean, we're on this kind of the same thing. Not for broadcast radio. Broadcast radio is squeezed to the knees.
Apparently, it's BS 1771-4.
Yep.
Is that a law?
No, it's a recommendation. ITUR BS 1770. Yep.
Okay.
It's the fourth stipulation of 1770.
Congress and FTC. Nice. Yeah, everything but I mean that kind of regulation suits radio well. Are you okay over there?
Yeah, I just dropped a zip tie.
Am I interrupting your work? I'm sorry.
No. I went and yanked this out, and now I need to find another zip tie later.
I feel like I might actually be interrupting your other job. I don't know.
Always.
So where are you going with the luffs?
Well, it's just the fact that even though there is a recommended standard, there's lots of instances when that's not followed. For example, I had an argument with engineering years ago about wide orbit automation for radio, which does not do loudness normalization. Wide orbit does peak RMS normalization. Yes. Either of those two. The one that everybody likes to use, which always makes me laugh, is enhanced RMS. Which, Bangs, I don't know if you've ever used wide orbit AFR. It's kind of the radio industry automation standard. But the standard in that ecosystem, and I talked to engineering, why enhanced RMS? What is that? They're like, it's a standard. I'm like, no, it's not. You go to literally anybody outside of the wide orbit ecosystem, nobody knows what the hell that is. And I looked it up in the manual. It's this weird, they invented it, first of all. And second of all, it takes your audio, chops it up into 50 millisecond chunks, then takes the RMS of that, divides it in half, because I guess that's what they think the loudness equals, and then averages that and then adjusts the level accordingly based on whatever average it comes out with, which I'm like, no.
And it doesn't do it very well.
No, it doesn't. Well, again, it's just a really weird version of peak normalization.
Because any radio station worth their salt actually has their own setup behind the scenes that's normalizing and doing all of the work for it on the out.
Yeah, our standard across all 56 of our stations is neg 17 RMS.
Neg
or
18
dB
is now
on the
podcast
RMS.
and audiobook. So
I think with us, they went with neg 17 to account for any weird peaks, because neg 18, obviously, Bangs is going to surely come and correct me on this. But most professional interfaces, neg 18 is about 0 dBu.
yeah,
That can be different. There's no standard. There's some are neg 14 equals 0 dBu. Some are, neg 20 equals 0 dBu. But in most of the interfaces that I have, they all pretty much balance out to about 0 dBu. So I think that's why they chose neg 17. It's like, okay, neg 1 dBu, that gives us some electrical, just a little colder than 0, just to keep it a little bit out of there. But it's just, I don't know. It's
Audible. He's saying podcasting is neg 16. Everything I was doing was neg 18. But Audible being
Spotify.
neg 14. I released a book with Audible, and they wouldn't allow it unless it was neg 18 or under. So
interesting. Or
over,
under.
Over. Sorry, or over. So it'd be
So
neg 14.
higher than like neg 19.
No, neg 14. Neg 14 would have been fine, but it had to be minimum neg 18.
So neg 18 or louder.
Yes, or louder. Sorry.
Okay. Oh, I was just trying to clarify. When you're in the negative numbers, it gets confusing.
Yeah, the one book I did on Audible was I just matched neg 18 and walked away from it.
Well,
So.
Spotify, this is the thing that makes me laugh too, is now Spotify, this whole thing that used to happen with the loudness wars where, producers and mastering engineers would absolutely massacre their master fader with like 0 dB of anything. Everything would be like peak normalized and squeezed to neg 0.1. Now Spotify has said, fuck you. Everything that goes into our platform is going to be automatically normalized to neg 18.
Oh, no.
So now if you put something into Spotify and it's too squeezed, it's going to sound super quiet compared to everything else.
That's going to suck.
And the worst thing is
That's half
Apple
the
Music
music nowadays.
Apple Music has a different standard. So if you're mastering and you're uploading, I mean, it's not that far off, but it's not neg 18. And Amazon Music, different standard again. So it's the standards. I think we all need to stick to a number.
Well, I mean, from a
do that.
producer's perspective, I can only imagine that must be maddening. Like when you're releasing your album, I'm guessing mono versus stereo is 3 LUFS different as 3 dB for levels. Yep. For stereo, neg 19 LUFS. For mono is suggested podcast. You know what? It's honestly been 3 years. Has it been 3 years since I released a podcast? Oh my goodness.
The original DCS podcast.
Dark Corner. No, it was Dark Corner of Radio. Wow.
Oh, that's right. It was.
Wow, it's been a long time since I did that. So, maybe it's just been a little too long. Also, the last time I produced a podcast was 2 girls, 1 mic. They actually blew up quite a bit for that. Well, they named themselves 2 girls, 1 mic, and they're based on porn. So, of course, they blew up. No pun intended. All companies, Amazon are tebding, moving towards neg 16. All companies.
That would be nice.
Amazon.
I would appreciate the extra little bit of headroom. That would be great. Because neg 8, every time I master something in a neg 18, especially to try and maintain some sense of compression, because it's not even make it louder. I just like the sound of a nice kind of just gently squeezed mix. You can't really do that with neg 18.
Let me see if anyone's actually voted on the poll. Voted on the poll for the RODECASTER Pro. Should I buy one? Of course, 67% say hell yes. I'm gonna leave this up for 24 hours, and I'll make my decision based on what it is. Purchase decisions.
And then after 24 hours, if it still says yes, he's gonna wait 48 hours.
No. I've already been considering buying one. Hey, I loved the RODECASTER Pro when I reviewed it. Like, I remember it was about the first hour of playing with the thing, I was like, it was gorgeous. It's a really
I mean, I'll
nicely
be honest,
built machine.
For what it's for, I mean, it looks pretty cool. For what it's for.
Really nice. Like, it's really well made. Save your money, pay off loans while it's still real money. I don't have loans. For what it is, it's a gorgeous piece of machinery. The drivers made it look like garbage. And this is the thing, I kept forgetting to talk about this. PodTrack P8. I reviewed the P4. Now, Dylan, if you're doing a podcast, is there any reason to record that podcast but beyond 44.1? 16-bit 44.1.
I'm going to say no.
Why?
Because your shit in most cases is going to get stripped down to that anyway.
It's going to be stripped down to 96 kilobits per second in an MP3.
Or yeah.
Because you can't upload that much audio without getting hammered for price.
Yeah.
16-bit
but even then, even if you're looking at the podcast distribution platforms like Spotify, which are obviously pushing it out higher than that, but even there, like if they were sending it out lossless, which we know that they're not, it would still be 44.1
it's
16-bit.
Spoken word. So why does Bang's Naughty Bits think that 16-bit is a bad idea? I'm going to let you go first. I'm sure Bangs will be typing while you're responding. Why is 16-bit a bad idea?
Why could 16-bit be a bad idea? I mean, less dynamic range.
That's granted.
That's the nerdy answer, and really the only answer is a nerdy answer.
You have to gain stage better for bad for newbies. 16-bit.
Yeah, but 24-bit. If you're at 96, I don't know what the preservation of bit depth is like when it comes to MP3s. I've never tested it, but I just assume, like everything else, when you trim down to 96 kilobits, which is atrocious.
So
that's probably going to suffer.
Before I start sending you through a ring of hell of trying to explain this, when I reviewed the P4, for the price that it was, the fact that it did phone calls, that it had a mix minus, like super cheap, powerful little thing, 70 dB of gain. The thing was awesome for the price. Like it honestly was a huge step up from everything else Zoom has done in that price point. But it only does 16-bit 44.1. But I figured for the price, and most people don't need 48. They don't need 24-bit. Meh. For the price, you're still getting price to performance beast with the P4. But then
at the same time, so I go back to the noob comment. That's true, but at the same time, I think it's one of those things where, trial by fire.
Yeah,
like
48 hertz does make it easier to incorporate into video, but is not as necessary unless you're doing a 1 hour long podcast, which is possible.
Well, and even then, the difference that you get, like you just upsample the 44.1. Yes, it screws with your harmonics.
It's upsampled already, but your harmonics don't really matter in a podcast. Because
there's lots of stuff that gets upsampled to video quality. In fact, most VO gets upsampled to 48K when needed.
Yeah.
You tell the video guys that, and they're gonna have an aneurysm because that's not good. But at the same time.
So this whole time, I've been waiting for the PodTrack P8 because I've got a working relationship with Zoom. They've just been running into problems with getting it stocked everywhere, so they really couldn't throw me a bone and just send me one for review. And then I started looking into it. For the price it is, it only does 16-bit 44.1, and it's only $150 cheaper than the RODECASTER Pro. It has all of the little benefits. And at first I was like, oh man, you know what? That sucks. It only does 16-bit 44.1. That's Then I looked, as an interface, it's 2 in, 2 out. It does not offer multi-track capability as an interface, much like the P4.
No.
Can I actually compare that to the RODECaster then? I don't think it's an apples to apples comparison. No, not even close. And this is what I was expecting from Zoom, and I'm actually kind of disappointed now because I was expecting an apples to apples comparison, $150 less, but they already have multi-track drivers. I'm almost sure Zoom has multi-track drivers. Yeah, because the LiveTrack L8 offers multi-track. So why can't the P8 offer multi-track?
Honestly, it's a weird, and this is not in any way everybody, but most board style interfaces that I've used, especially cheaper, like under $1,000 ones, generally it kind of gets sloughed under the rug, but it's usually like a 2 in, 2 out kind of a deal. Like a tape recorder, basically.
The L8 for its price is not bad at all. For its price. The L12, you're talking about newbies picking up an interface. An L12 will wreck a newbie. Like, it's too much. L12 has much better preamps. Yes, it does. But it's also like Greek to a lot of people that have a hard time operating a RODECaster Pro, which is basically like the Lego blocks of interfaces. Like, if you can't operate the RODECaster Pro, boards aren't for you.
Well, this is it. Like, I mean, we can keep kneecapping, or we can keep giving the newbies all these kind of crutches to keep them up. And I do agree that it's good because you're just going to overwhelm somebody if they have all these issues. Like, here, take a ribbon mic and and an M-Box 2 and try to make it sound good.
Well, the L12
it's not going to work out well.
The L12 isn't like it's not a difficult board to figure out. It's got a steeper learning curve than the L8. The L8 has a steeper learning curve than the RODECaster Pro. I don't think that's a good starter board, the L12. Also, and this is the big one for everyone starting a podcast right now, is the mix minus for phone calls. That's the big one that everyone wants. They want mix minus already set up within the board. The L12 does not have that. Also, you need sound pads, because God forbid you just run it off an iPad beside you or something else. I suggest a P4 RODECaster Pro for most people, but the P8 has 6 XLR ins. Yeah, the P8 has that bonus for if you have a large podcast. It also
like a panel style.
Or sorry, I'm thinking L8. The P8 does. But
you keep mentioning. I'm getting lost in all these.
I know. This is Zoom's problem. Zoom likes to have letter number. That's flat out.
Letter number. Yeah.
The P8. The P8 having a 2 in, 2 out kills it for me. Like, I can't recommend that up against the RODECaster Pro that has multi-track functionality. And Zoom, if Zoom decides to offer up multi-track functionality on the P8 later, it's kind of the same problem I had with the RODECaster Pro first. RODECaster Pro was released as a 2 in, 2 out. It wasn't released as a multi-track. They just, okay, here's an update. Go get ASIO for all. Just go do that. Now, hey, it's a multi-track now.
So I have a question. So you mentioned the L series. So
no, it didn't have
all
multi-channel.
of those.
The L series are all multi-track.
Okay.
Yeah.
So this is another question entirely. Is this an instance of, the thing that Nikon and Canon do with their products of product separation? Is this an example of them?
So they're not cannibalizing.
Yeah, they're exactly. So they're not stomping on their own feet by offering, a potentially cheaper solution with better.
See, and that's the thing. Like,
feature sets.
RODECaster, when they released the RODECaster, it didn't have multi-track, and you could record multi-track on the SD card. You couldn't record multi-track as an interface, and the problem with that, it's a board, meaning I'm not just going to carry it around, plug mics into it. I'm going to use it as an interface and record onto a computer. And I think that with the P8, they're kind of going at the same kind of, they're taking the same perspective where it's not an interface, it's kind of an on-location recorder. So going back to the old Zoom recorders that weren't an interface, they were strictly a recorder. And it records in multi-track on, and the L8 doesn't, so the L8 kind of got the music thing, but they have separation in features. Like, you don't need to have separation in drivers. You don't need to have separation.
But at this, so they have separation in features, so they have different features. But is this an example of them needing different tiers? Like
you look at their product stack. Well,
they need. We know they need tiers. Look at the H5 versus the H1. It's a prime example of they're both basically not the H5 and the H1, the H4 and the H5.
Multi-channel is better but more confusing, granted. But you could easily offer multi-track functionality while still going through MME drivers for the rookies.
Latency, though. the latency.
Yeah, I know, but you're talking about the rookies. You're like, if you're worried about ASIO drivers being too complicated for people, which I'm not sure how, because all you do is
Well,
choose
again,
each
so
one.
like I'm at the point now where this argument keeps coming up where, well, it's too complicated for newbies. It's a technical field. I'm sorry, if you can't stomach the fact that you have to do some technical things, this might not be the
and
job for you.
That's where, if you're just going to record a podcast, then go get something that's really simple to use. Scarlett 2i2.
Yeah,
There you go.
there's lots of options for that.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, you get an interface instead of a board.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean,
I think that's the big one, because boards, I mean,
They
you're
love
just
to play
asking
with
for-
the sliders, Dylan. They love to just
I get
press
it.
the sliders up. And I like to.
I like to play with my slider too. But
Don't look at me. I have a mix pre.
oh yeah, does your whatchamacallit there is just knobs, right?
Mine, yeah. Well, no, I've got the AudioFuse Studios knobs and buttons. I got buttons too. Lots of buttons.
I got lots of
I
buttons.
have
Well, see, it's
phase
funny
invert.
you mentioned you're talking mix minus, and in back like I haven't heard mix minus as a term in like
Well, for
6 years.
phone calls, you need mix minus.
Well, but see, I'm not used to that automated, because every time I have to record a call, I just do it manually. Do the manual routing which is, when you're used to it, is not actually that big of a deal. But the idea that it's like, oh, it's just there's a thing that does that automatically. That's weird. That's a weird thing.
Bang says.
In fact,
mix-
I think
Sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I think my phone hybrid actually has a built-in sort of mix minus.
Yeah,
reduce
phone
function
hybrids
on
do.
it.
Yeah.
little
Mixers are
gentler.
better for live work and streaming. Yes, they are. But then if you're just going to be streaming, or doing live work, go get one of the Mix LRs. They're the streamers. Are they done by Corsair? Mix LR. It's
What was that? Mixler.
Mix LR.
I
yeah,
call it
Mixler. But they're meant for streamers. They're meant for that kind of stuff. If you want live, that's exactly what you want. The Mix LR.
Yeah, well, and I think it's nice. The MixLR is nice because, again, as a streamer, you got to be quick on your feet. And something like a Mackie analog board does not exactly allow you to be quick on your feet.
No, I watched CNN and Anderson Cooper complained about Mix Minus live on the air. They had to evacuate the building. Go XLR. Go XLR. What was I calling it?
MixLR.
Yeah. Okay, go XLR.
So was that the one that was brought up last week, and we looked up pictures of it, and we're like, oh, that one looks cool. I forget the one that was brought up last week.
I don't know. I've thought about buying a Go XLR just to review, but I'm not a streamer. And it's great. Like, what I want to get is a board that also allows me. They just released a 4-camera capture card, so you can do camera switching with your capture card, which I kind of want to do for live streams when I'm building something. Like building.
What
a
does that go
computer.
for?
$500 US.
That's not bad.
No, wait,
Considering
380
what-
US. 380 US.
Considering what most gear that's designed for like professional live camera applications like that, like professional video switchers, are like in the tens of thousands.
Yeah.
Like that's not bad. $380.
Padre says with the P8 for Bluetooth, you need to buy a dongle. True. Which puts the Zoom at the same price and lose the cable TRS, and if you want to receive sound from USB, you lose the 6th XLR. It's true, but that's not the biggest thing that makes the P8 lose to the RODECaster Pro. In my mind, they just released multi-track drivers. Like you have the ability to multi-track with the RODECaster Pro now.
It's like
defeats.
their main downside has now kind of been.
They
at least
had
fixed.
no other bloody downsides on the RODECaster Pro, other than the fact that you can only do XLR. The only thing you have is XLR inputs on it. So
Wasn't there something you mentioned too with the mic profiling and kind of configuring your signal chain inside the system?
Yeah, I
Something
mean,
about
it's
that,
I think it's one of those. The P8 is not a contender. The P4 is like 110%. The P8 is not a contender. The P4 is. P4 is a contender based on price. Flat out, it should be the one that everyone buys before you go and buy a RODECaster Pro. But yeah, I don't really like the inline effects they have on the board. I'm not a big fan of those anyways, and the fact that they were like dummy buttoned in when they first started. I haven't seen the RODECaster style yet. It was an on and off. There was nothing else to it. It was, do you want compression on? Click on. Do you? It was so bad. I was.
Well, again, so on all of the boards, obviously excluding the very high end like Digico SD6 as a board, which is like a very expensive touring board that I've used, which has phenomenal onboard waves enabled effects. However, as far as normal like attainable products for home users, Allen and Heath, their Mix Wizard, I think is the name of their board. That I used that live, and I was actually quite impressed with it doesn't have. Actually, no, I think that one actually did have single knob compression on, which didn't sound bad considering it's one knob. But it doesn't sound bad. Mackie's onboard effects are horrid. I will say that.
Mackie doesn't have a multi-track. If you're looking for multi-track,
no, I'm strictly talking quality of effects. I will never buy a PreSonus product ever again, only because they're one of those companies that everything I've bought from them has broken. So for that reason alone, I will not be investing in PreSonus. Sorry, guys.
Yeah, amen to that. Yeah, if they're planning on, they didn't send me their last USB mic. They were. I actually called them and they're like, we don't have any left. I'm like, what? Is it because I said your board blew up? Like, you can tell me. You can tell me if it's
just
because
the board
blew up.
Just be honest.
Rode finally gave you access to the master bus compression just recently. So you have access to the compression.
So is that what you're saying, or somebody else say that?
That was Bangs said that.
Bangs, so what level of control, like, does it allow you to control attack, release, ratio, like all of the standard compression settings?
I can't wait to see somebody owning a RODECaster Pro trying to figure all that stuff out. That would be fantastic.
or is it just like, here's your input, here's your output, fixed threshold.
In advanced mode, you can do it. That's cool. Well, at least they're offering that the ability to do that. I do like the fact that they have profiles for Rode mics. So, like, if you own a Rode mic, it'll have a profile for it to make it sound the best it can.
That's obviously a marketing thing. They're really trying to get people to buy into the whole ecosystem. It's like, hey, you can use this with an NT5 and make it sound great.
Apparently, Bang says, yes, you can. You can actually, you can fix all that. And no, it's like, I like the profile for the NT2A that I had. The profile sounded nice. I've got a boomier voice, and you could choose that. So it had like an EQ.
Well, this
setting.
is the other thing that I hate about being restricted to just profiles.
The EV20 as well.
So you can get the RE20 on there?
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, RE20. I'm definitely down for that. I got an RE20 here. I think I'm buying a RODECaster Pro, dude.
Yeah, you should give it a shot. Give it a review 2.0.
Maybe I should do that, because the last review I did was mid 2019.
I think Pro Tools is about to shit itself.
Oh no! Okay, well we're pretty much at the end of our hour.
It'll still keep working. It's just I know I'm not going to be able to use it. It's going to freeze up.
Save my money. When do you think V2's coming out? They're updating this thing like hand over fist. And honestly, I can make money on the RODECaster Pro because every time they do an update to the features or the drivers, I can actually do a video on the update. That's one of the reasons I wanted to buy one, because every time they update all these, Tom Buck, is it? Tom Buck does a video on the basically the updated features, and he explains them, how to use them, and cash cow for a video. And it's a great idea. There's a lot of my viewers that use a RODECaster Pro. So, might be worth it. Anyways, I don't know if they're going to come out with the V2. Do you think they'll just update it? Kind of like Grand Theft Auto 5, that there's no Grand Theft Auto 6. It's just update after update. The Wireless Go just released V2. No idea. Hey, you know what? This is the thing. Rode already called me and said there's something on the way. They can't say what. I can't say what. I know that there's something on the way from Rode, and they wanted to send me something.
Okay, so which is it? They can't say what, or you can't say what?
No, they can't say what. Like, the guy who contacted me.
So you don't know, basically.
No, I have no idea.
Okay.
What's coming from Rode.
Because the story changed like halfway through. It's like, I can't say. No.
I'm like, I can't say because I don't know. At some point, they'll fix the preamps and hardware. Yeah, that's a good point. The preamps on the RODECaster Pro aren't great. Like, they're good enough for podcasters. As much as you want to throw up the EIN for anything, I mean, podcasters don't need as much as people think.
Can you run the SM7 into it without a mic activator?
I'm gonna let Bangs answer that because Bangs always counters me on that stuff. Anyways, I would say
Well, I think
no.
it's one of those things. It's one of those things that depends on what your requirement is. If your requirement is 130 dB noise below your signal, then it's probably not going to work.
If you're boosting in
Which
post, you probably can. You're gonna max that out. It's right in the mushy middle ground. It depends on your ambient. Yeah, I would say that too. It's one of those that you can boost it in post, but if you're going live, I wouldn't use an SM7B live. Through that. Although who's running an SM7B for live without some sort of post production? Without some sort of inline production or inline effects and stuff like that. It will shave 5 dB at most. Yeah. Anyways, you know what?
I should try one of these streams one of these weeks. I should just run this guy straight into the live feed with zero processing.
Sound good.
No,
as
it doesn't.
Much as
I just want to do it.
Everybody's like, "Oh, the SM7B is the greatest mic ever." It doesn't sound good raw.
People say that, and the same reason that they say the U87 is the best mic ever.
You know
it's not.
What is the best raw sounding mic that you've owned or you know of? I already know the one.
U47.
Okay.
Telefunken U47 or vintage AKG C12. One of which I have used.
Pick
it is not
one
mine.
that
I wish it was.
somebody can actually buy and they not mortgage their house.
ART-M4.
Okay. I'll take the M4.
$500.
I would go. The best raw sounding mic that I've ever used is the RE320. Just raw, just plug it in and go, not doing any effects. That's the 20. The RE320 has a presence boost to it.
Yeah, but it's not silver.
But it's black.
I don't want to say I don't want to say it's black because someone's just gonna soundboard that somewhere and it's black.
Yeah. Bang says it's flat and looks cool. And you know what? That's the PR40. Oh, I have a PR40. I'm selling it because it's the brightest friggin' mic. The Heil PR40. Yeah. It is the brightest mic. I've got a boomy voice, but I'm very sibilant. So
actually, another mic that sounds really good is that Sennheiser
E835.
That.
The E835 sounds gorgeous.
There's too many numbers in the E series.
You know what? I'm also gonna 1 second.
Dun 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 dun. Dun.
I am starting to think, and I'm gonna make this is a very contentious system, very statement, not system, bold statement.
System.
The SM58 isn't the best handheld.
No,
not even close.
It's the most widely used. It's a great handheld, and it's
the price. It's
durable as hell.
The SM58 at its price is not the best mic. At its price.
It's not the best sounding handheld. It's the most. I think it's probably the most durable handheld you could probably get your hands on.
I'm going to be testing that later on this year, where I'm going to actually test to see how durable it is, and I'm going to put it up against the E835 and the AKG D5. Watch Monday's video. This is now the E835 outclassing the SM58 and the D5 outclassing it. If you want to see by how much, check out Monday's video. The D5. I don't think I'll ever buy an SM58 again. Flat out. And I am going to try to hammer nails with all of them. That said, and this is the one thing that I don't like about other mics outside of the SM58. Dylan can't see this, but this is the capsule for the D5. And if you notice, when I push it, it's on a little rocker panel. It's on kind of its own, and it's an exposed suspension system. So I don't know how good that exposed suspension system is going to be when I start hammering nails with it. But that will be coming. Oh, and Bangs wants me to do the Blue Encore 100, which I'm going to get. I looked it up. They're pricey little bastards. The SE7, what's the SE7?
A name rings a bell. I don't know why I'm not thinking of the brand.
I have no idea what the SE7. That's probably the Sennheiser? SC
Electronics.
SE Electronics. Sure, Beta 58 has a better shock mount. Really? The Beta 58 has a better shock mount than the 58?
Yep. I can second that. Yep.
The 58's got a great shock mount system.
There are several. The first time I bought the Beta, and sure was like precision, better quality assurance, all this like prestige. I'm like, bullshit. And then I'm like, oh, no, this actually does have a distinctly sort of feature set than the
Nice.
58.
I've got to get a Beta 58 when I want to drop another $300 on a stupid handheld. I will, and this is the problem. I'm gonna go broke buying handhelds, and I don't need them for anything. I literally
wait till you start getting into like the Shure, the wireless, the OLX, and the SLX. For like $3,000 mic.
No, and the problem is one, I don't have a band anymore. If I had a band, I would love all the handhelds. It'd be great. I could have a full complement of backup singers.
Oh yeah.
I don't need more handhelds, and you can't sell them. Nobody wants to buy a handheld.
You should start getting
right
You should start getting your hands on like some more eclectic ones, like the copper phone.
Well, that's why the Blue Encore 100, they have like a copper grill. You can change out the grills. It's the Blue handheld. I'm gonna try it. They're like $200 Canadian. So
yeah, well, even the copper phone, I think from Sweetwater, which is one of the closest places we can get it, is like 180. Which is like, it's for a microphone that has a very specific purpose, which is not most of the things that we're doing.
Oh, the Encore 200 is that much. Okay, I'll look at the Encore 100. But I wanted the interchangeable heads. If I'm going to buy another bloody handheld microphone that I have no use for, like, I don't know. I see Podcastage with all of his mics. What is he using them for? He keeps all of his mics. Like the Heil PR40, I'm not keeping. I can't keep that. I've got no use for it. All these handhelds are going to be great if I ever decide to do a church service from my house, I guess. Yeah, I could mic up a whole...
So this is a question that's kind of obvious, but you know a lot more about him than I do. So Podcastage, does he have a podcast?
Yes, he does.
that I can listen to? Do you know what it's called? Is it literally just called Podcast?
Yeah, actually, you know what? Here, let's sell some Podcastage while we're doing my YouTube video.
Again, I just
that's okay.
You know, I like to hear, you know, if someone's going to be like, I'm the best at stuff, which he doesn't say, to be honest, but I mean, he probably thinks
just go to
like to hear what they're doing.
podcastage.com and you'll find his podcast.
Oh, he's got a website.
Yeah. Well, I mean, any YouTuber worth their salt, note that I don't have one, has a he has several. Does he have multiple podcasts?
I feel like he
doesn't have time for a band. I would imagine he's the type of dude that was in a band at one time, because he's got all the gear. You can tell he was probably.
He's got guitars and stuff.
He was in a punk band when he was probably like 16. I get, but I don't. What does he have to? How does he have time for all? Well, I guess he's also a full-time YouTuber. That helps. Yeah. So what are you doing with all the mics? I guess maybe if I get popular enough, I can do
make a museum. You make a museum.
I like the thought of a punk podcast. You know, Podcastage is punk. He wears a toque all the time.
Yeah, like, you can see the vibes.
He's got
it's either punk or shoegaze. One of those two genres.
Well, you know, he's like mid-aughts punk. Like, okay, late aughts punk. Like about 2010, he was probably hardcore punk. I'm guessing he's close to 30 now. So.
Yeah, it's probably about right. Maybe a little over, but around that number, I guess.
He's a millennial emo. I could see it. I could see it with the look
I got some very. He's like light emo, like some mild, also, like emo on a diet kind of vibe.
You see some of his old videos where he's got the toque, but the little curls sticking out underneath the toque. Yeah,
he's gonna see this and murder us.
No, full love for podcasters. Love the guy.
No shade.
Yeah,
no shade.
No. We're talking nice stuff about the guy who could crush me under his thumb. Thank you very much. I will ask him to sing Blitzkrieg Bop next mic test. You do it. That's awesome. Do it. If I had time, I would listen to his podcasts. I don't have time. And I remember my video I did at Christmas where I was looking at my goals for the year, and I was looking at possibly going full time on YouTube. The way YouTube works, I don't know if it's going to work this year. I would love to, because doing a morning show and a YouTube channel is hell when you have a family. It's hell. Yeah. I mean, it's probably hell even without a family, but especially having a family. Doing a morning show takes about 8 hours a day to do that job. And then on top of that, I put about 30 hours a week into YouTube. So yeah, I wish I had the free time. Man, you free up those 8 hours a day for me. Not that I love my day job. If my boss is watching, love my day job. Please don't cancel my contract. But yeah, yeah, he can play guitar. I can play guitar as well. I just don't do it much.
You can?
Oh yeah, I was
Guitar.
in a band.
So you know
released
what's one
an
thing I've
album.
noticed about like I've told you before. So like one of my prized guitar possessions is my Taylor 814 CE DLX. It's like a $7,000 guitar.
Yep.
It sounds lovely. The one thing I've noticed about it is obviously it plays really nice. But one thing I've just noticed this week is I'm a little prolific when it comes to song ideas. Finishing songs I'm not good at. Coming up with song ideas I'm really good at. So I've been going to just record stuff, and this week I just I can't be bothered to whip out me Tascam or me H6, especially not the H6. It's like I gotta get a wheelbarrow. But like. So I've just been I just pull up because that's so much that's a lot smaller than the
It's
H6
in your pocket.
Does it actually? No, it doesn't.
No, it doesn't. I'm kidding.
I was gonna say no chance. What kind of pockets do you have? It's a backpack pocket, baby. But I was like, okay, I'll just pull up on Auditions, mono audio track, and I'll just yank my RE20 as far as I can and just put it somewhere just to get it laid down. Sounds really good, actually. The thing about a good instrument, and I know this isn't a music channel, but the thing about a good instrument is you don't have to really do much to get it to sound good.
No.
It just kind of it's like a microphone, right? Dodgy microphones, my EQ curve looks like I just took a hacksaw to a piece of bread. Whereas with a decent mic like the U87, maybe 2 or 3 EQ points, and it's exactly where I want it. Like
I just whenever I do the tests on a microphone with my acoustic, which I'm trying to do more of, usually only on condensers. Although I should probably test dynamics, not handhelds. I'm not doing an SM58 with an acoustic
just
guitar.
all of the mics.
But I'm going to start testing them more. Yeah, it's one of those things. The nicer the mic is, it really, even raw audios.
I think it's just. I think that's a general lesson when it comes to tiers of gear of any kind, whether it's a camera, whether it's a microphone, whether it's a musical instrument, software even. There's softwares that are much cheaper than Pro Tools, but most of which don't really operate in the same nice fluidity that Pro Tools does, or that what Studio One does, or any of those. But you can make anything realistically sound good. Yes, the specs don't line up. Yes, but as far as final created product, you can make anything sound or the output be good, but you have to do a lot more work.
Yeah, no,
with
that's
cheaper
true.
stuff.
See,
you can get there. You just have to work hard.
Even my Ibanez, it's a 1974 Ibanez. Nice, solid sound, but it's buzzy as fuck. Like it.
See, I just bought an Ibanez bass actually. A few weeks ago, and I was at the store, and this thing played lovely. Like I was playing, and it's an active bass, which are normally a good. Like I've got.
The question is good enough versus you paid what for that?
Yeah, so that's when you look at the Telefunken U47, which is like a $12,000 microphone, that is certainly a question that comes into play. That said, yeah, there is obviously, I'm sure anyone watching has heard of the idea of diminishing returns. There's a point of diminishing returns. You can spend double the price on something and maybe get 2% in improvement.
A C414 you can do most things with, and
yeah, I would say that a little thing called the value proposition with the C414, the value proposition is great because the value and price are pretty close in my opinion. Because you really get your bang for buck out of that. The value proposition of the U87 is not the worst.
No.
Do I think that it is worth $4,000? It's an amazing mic. Not shitting on it. I own one, obviously. Not worth $4,000.
No.
I would say a good value proposition to price point for the U87 AI would be $2,600.
That's Canadian too, right?
No, that's American.
That's American?
I'm going American.
All right.
Yeah.
Ken says
It's not much cheaper.
So Dylan is saying the problem is my $340 Yamaha acoustic from 1997. Well,
Does it sound like shit?
Yeah,
That's the question.
Buzzing frets. I actually kind of like the sound of the buzzing frets.
It depends. I do you can use that creatively and get a little bit of grit.
The value of the U87 is what you can get talent to use your studio. You know what? And you put somebody that can't sing on a U87, they still sound like shit. No mic should be over $1,000.
Well, that's it. This is in my rant on our little video talking about this stuff, the last video that we collabed on outside of these lives. I went on a big rant about that, which is if you're going to invest in something, invest in yourself, invest in your ears, invest in your mouth, invest in your space. You can get $40,000 speakers, and if your room isn't treated, no dice, bro.
David Sillers says, I'm looking at a U47 clone kit made in France, 700 euros. What do you think?
Not bad.
Yeah, but I mean, there's a lot of U47 clone.
There are, and honestly, they all sound different. That's the first thing I can say. They all sound different. I'd say the most accurate one that I have heard, based on a clip I heard of somebody actually using a vintage operating Neumann U47 back when they made them, is the Telefunken U47 is the most expensive, but also the most accurate to the U47. That said, all the other clones, with the exception of the really dirt cheap ones that are like $300, which do exist, they all sound good. They just sound different. So if you're looking for exactly a U47, A, why are you so attached to that sound? B, there's all kinds of other mics that are U47 clones that are much cheaper. Yeah. That sound actually pretty decent. That said, if you've got 12 grand to blow and you want to have a really cool thing at the centerpiece of your studio, get the telephone.
Don't look at the microphone. It's one of those, like, my big goal mic right now is the C414 XLS.
Do it.
It was the XLS. That's the one I wanted.
Or the XLS or the XL2?
XLS, not the XL2. XL2 is supposed to be the voice mic, and the XLS is supposed to be the instrumentation mic. But I put that thing in front of me. It sounds gorgeous. So, but I still don't want to spend $1,700 on a microphone right now.
They say the same thing about the SM58 versus the SM57, that the SM57 is the instrument mic. They have the same capsule. Yeah, basically,
they just have a different. They have a different grill.
One is the 57. Yeah, it has a grill, lesser grill on it. Secondly, there are a couple differences, but one of them is that it doesn't have the same kind of pneumatic shock. Yeah, because it's not meant to be handheld. The 57 is not designed to be handheld. That said,
but that shouldn't impact the sound that much.
The president of the United States in the what is it, the East Wing, the White House? That's where they do the press conferences.
In the West Wing.
Is West Wing?
Isn't it West Wing?
I'm not.
Yeah, that was based on the whole show.
I'm obviously not. Well, anyways, no, I thought the West Wing was the.
Okay, continue.
But so they on their podium, I don't know if they still do, but they used to use 57s was their go-to. Like when Obama was president, that was you could see many pictures of him in front of a 57 with the modified grill on it. But still.
By the way, anyone still watching, doesn't Dylan look like
Trevor?
Trevor from
You're gonna say
GTA
Trevor.
5?
Yeah.
He looks like he's starting to look like Trevor from GTA 5. It's the goat, dude. It's the half shave on the chin too with the goat. It's not a bad look. If you put on one of those, like,
if I want to be like Trevor,
he has some charm. I mean, most of it is based out of meth, but yeah. Ben M says, "Yep." The grill impacts by the grill. President Johnson used SM57s. Also said, I have a voice for the $20 tier of mics, so $400 mics just confirm this. The sound will be impacted by the grill shape, but by how much? Like, how much is the grill shape going to really impact?
Well, I'd say the size of the crosshairs or the size of the rungs on the grill is a huge factor, because the bigger those are, the more high end is going to be bounced off.
Yeah, that's true.
So that's why I generally say, like, for me, I like what the SM7 has on it, which is, a very thin foam. And for anyone that hasn't actually gotten a chance to look at an SM7, it's so thin you can see through it.
Yeah.
It's very thin mesh, and then it's got this grill that has huge sort of cross hatching on it, but the holes are big. The holes in the grill are big, which helps. So it's not as much of an issue, and I like this because it's like you've got I'm sure that's really annoying to listen to every time I do that.
Also, the visual is kind of disturbing.
Yeah, it's a little disturbing. But no, I prefer it this way. Most mics have the other way around. They have a grill, and then they have the foam inside. Yeah. I actually prefer, as far as plosive protection, I prefer it the other way around.
Oh, that sound. Love it.
The ASMR, putting a mic together while it's plugged in.
All right, then.
You should do a video with that. That would be funny.
ASMR?
A little short of that. No, like a little short video of, like, literally, like, disassemble a mic, plug it in. Try not to kill yourself, but plug it in and assemble the mic while it's plugged in.
Oh,
Like all the different screw sounds and stuff. I mean, I don't know. That'd be interesting.
I would have to gain that down so much. Any work on a microphone plugged in.
And where just in case there's a grounding issue somewhere in your signal chain, wear some nitrile gloves.
It's just gonna buzz you a bit. It's not gonna hurt.
No big deal. But I mean,
how much would 48 volts really bother you?
Well, it's not so much 48 volts, but if there happens to be any kind of mains leakage inside here.
That is a good point.
Take 120 volt. Well, maybe not 120, but there's, yeah. No, that is bears.
I've taken 120
Be
volts.
safe. I have to. I think everybody at least once in their life has. If not, I highly recommend it.
Yeah,
not to the chest. Don't do that.
No, fingertip.
I actually,
And
when I was in
don't go
engineering,
hand to hand with it.
so this is a fun story to end on. I think I've told you this story, but so I was in when I worked in broadcast engineering back in the day. And the first time I ever went out to the AM transmitter site for a particular station. I'm not going to say what company or what station because this is going to be bad. But we were there, and anyone who's ever been inside a transmitter site knows FM transmitter sites generally, the lower the frequency you have, generally the more power you need to crank that out. The way I like to look at it is your cell phone broadcasts in the gigahertz, and the people are like, oh man, the transmitters for your phones at the sites must be huge. I was like, no, they're actually not. No. Because your cell phone has to have enough juice in this little brick to hit that site just from here. So they don't actually have to be that big, whereas an AM transmitter is the size of a room. So anyway, so we're inside the combiner room at this at this AM transmitter site. And it's like, I don't know, in the hundreds of kilowatts as far as power. And one of the engineers moved back one of the racks of transmitter components, and it's an analog, a tube transmitter at that. Ooh. Very dangerous. And there were like char marks on the floor behind the rack, and the guy, one of the engineers was like, so that's what happened to the last guy that didn't have one hand behind his back when he was poking around inside that. Yeah. And I didn't believe him. So I went and looked up some historical like engineering briefs for the station. That was a thing that happened. Like he was so electrocuted that the soles of his shoes melted to the floor.
Ooh. I love every company has one of those stories. Every company has one of those stories where it's like, this is what happens when you screw up.
Now the weird thing was the engineer was like, oh yeah, that's why, because he didn't have one hand behind his back, but it's like, well, but the electricity went through his arm to the floor. So why does it didn't go this way, it went that way? Why the hell does it matter where his hand was?
Was he he's standing in a puddle maybe?
Now again, that said, it is for anyone who's ever working around super high voltage, high current stuff, it is a good practice to always work with one hand behind your back so that if you do have an electrical fault of some kind, it doesn't go through your heart.
Arm to arm, the one thing in the middle between arm to arm is your heart. That's why.
So
don't grab
at
things
least
with two arms.
At least if you shock yourself, it'll still probably kill everything on the side of your body, but at least you might not die.
They say don't use your left arm, use your right arm, so you don't have your heart.
All this to say, before you get to any of that stage, hire a licensed technician.
Hire a licensed electrician.
Don't attempt to do this yourself.
I'm gonna take this butter knife and go fix that receptacle over there.
Oh God! It's like I saw a video on YouTube like this week of a at the Computer Science History Museum in Mountain View, California. They have a functioning IBM 1401 mainframe. Ooh. Two of them actually, and one of them is a German model. So it's running on a stupidly 240. So they've got this because obviously it's also very high current because those things were not exactly power efficient.
No.
And so the guy, the guy shooting the video is like putzing around trying to turn on the transformer, and he's like, "Is there something else I need to do here?" And he's just just feeling up that just molesting the transformer array. And I'm like, and it's running like I can hear this sucker buzzing, and I'm like, just waiting for something horrible to happen.
That's awesome.
Ugh.
All right, one of these days I'll tell you the story about me working in the oil field, and I had the exact same story. Mine was liquid oxygen though. So,
oh God.
Yeah. Anyways, that's it for us.
Don't light a fire, kids.
We're getting out of here now. It froze to death. Wait.
Oh no. Oh no.
Inez.s. Inez S. Guys, what do you recommend for live podcasting, professional online meetings, webinars, and online therapy with some EQ, compression, and gate? RODECASter or Apollo Solo? Live podcasting. Live podcasting. So I'm guessing you're going live with it. Professional online meetings, you can basically two cans with a string. For online therapy and stuff, I would go RODECaster Pro. Yeah, Bang says RCP
honestly,
as well.
Yeah. If you're doing live stuff, Solo's a little overkill and won't really help you live.
The fact that it has EQ, compression, and gate already in the RODECaster,
yeah,
and the Apollo requires you to actually put those things in separately. Although the Apollo will do it seamlessly, the RODECaster Pro would be the best. Loving the talk. Thanks. Yeah, this is what happens when we don't actually talk tech. We actually talk about dying from ways at work. Okay, you know what? I've got a few seconds before I have to go, so I'll tell you the story. Worked for a company called Ecan Oilfield Services out west in Alberta. And one of the things they do is they're talking about shutoffs for liquid oxygen. And the reason why ball valves now have relief on them is because when a guy was... he shut off a live stream of liquid oxygen, and the ball valve trapped just a little bit of liquid oxygen in there. And when it heated up, it expanded and it blew the whole valve. And he was standing right in front of it, and he got flooded with liquid oxygen and died instantly from being flooded. So now every ball valve that you have in the industry of any kind of liquid oxygen or liquid CO2, as well as nitrogen, now has to have relief in the ball valve.
Jesus.
Little things you never hear. And
that's
they have
terrifying.
the story, and they showed us where the dude froze to death because literally, like, I think it was like 40 gallons of liquid oxygen came straight out at him. And you can take a lot of the oxygen on your hand and it won't hurt, even nitrogen.
No, well, you've got the Leidenfrost effect that'll just cause a little barrier for a little while. Yeah, for a while. I wouldn't want to put your hand in there for 20 minutes or anything.
But when you have
your hand will cool
cubic meters of this stuff falling on you, it's instant frozen.
You're going to become a dudesicle.
One of the
You're going
most
to be a dudesicle.
Painful. Back to this. Bang says Apollo uses DSPs, right? Yes, that would allow live processing.
Onboard Shark processors.
Which, the live processing is amazing on those. The faders do
they're
help
known
streaming.
for it.
Yeah. Anyways, I'll leave you in the welcome hands of Bang's Naughty Bits. Still want to find it. Bang's Naughty Bits. Are you ever going to tell us he or she or they?
Nope.
No. Well, no. I already said we misgendered with they.
See, I was going to say I'm going to put money on it, but I'm not going to do that because then he's going to tell you and I lose money.
That's technically rude. You can't bet on gender.
Rude?
You can't.
I'm betting on him. I'm betting on him telling you his gender or their gender.
I am what I am. All right. You know what? That's cool. Bang's Naughty Bits.
You is what you is.
You is what you is. Thanks for joining us, guys. I noticed some guys came late. This has been a long stream for us, actually. We've been almost an hour and a half. So cheers, guys. Thank you very much for joining. We'll see you next week around the same time. And have yourselves a great week. We'll see you on Monday with a new video for the AKG D5. You're going to want to see this if you're into handheld mics. I is what I is. Popeye quote.
Hey.